Good morning and welcome to Our Issues Milwaukee. I'm your host, Andrea Williams. Our focus this morning is on an organization that's mission is to bring people together to build homes, communities, and hope. Milwaukee Habitat for Humanity. And here to tell us all about this organization that's been in Milwaukee since 1984 is Brian Sonderman, Executive Director of Milwaukee Habitat for Humanity. Good morning, Brian.
Good morning, Andrea.
Thank you for being here, and there's a lot of positive things going on with the Milwaukee Habitat for Humanity. Tell us more about it and all that you do.
Well, Milwaukee Habitat is a nonprofit home ownership ministry formed in 1984, and we serve low to moderate income Milwaukee County residents, providing home ownership opportunities and repairs to existing homes. And over the course of 30 years, we've been able to serve over 800 families here in Milwaukee.
That is awesome. And you are the 39th affiliate of Habitat for Humanity International in the U.S. And like I said, there's some positive things happening right here in the city, and I want you to tell us more about that. But first and foremost, the homes that you build are built with sweat equity, so to speak.
Absolutely.
Talk about what that means.
Well, we're not a giveaway program. We like to say that we're offering people a hand up, not a handout. And to qualify for a Habitat home, a partner family needs to invest 300 to 500 hours of sweat equity. And it truly is sweat equity because the majority of those hours are spent building their home or their neighbor's home. And most of the folks that come out and work on these homes, most of our partner families have never done any construction. So they learn on-the-job skills, and it's an incredible experience. Most of us have never had it, to be able to actually say, I built my home. And so in addition to those construction hours that they put in on their own home, they also learn financial literacy skills. They learn about home maintenance because our program is designed for first-time home buyers. So it's a lot is involved in that, but a bulk of it is the actual work on their own home.
It certainly sounds like a win-win. And beyond building homes, you also strive to build awareness for housing needs. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, absolutely. The staggering statistic that I've come across recently is that there's about 70,000 Milwaukee County residents in need of safe, decent, affordable housing. And what that basically means is that they're living in situations right now that are substandard. Maybe they're out of code compliance. They're unsafe from many vantage points. But most importantly for families, it's unaffordable. About 1/3 of Milwaukee area renters are spending over 50% of their monthly income on housing.
Wow. And
the most financial experts would tell us that that's unsustainable. And so every Habitat homeowner, in order to qualify for a Habitat home, their mortgage principal payment, insurance, and taxes needs to be under 30% of their monthly income. So we make it affordable, and there's tremendous need in our economy right now. And so while we can't supply a home for every person who's in need, our mission is to serve as many people as possible. Yeah,
and part of the American dream is to have that house with the white picket fence, as we hear many people say. And unfortunately, for so many people, they feel like that buying a home to call their own is not something that they can see in their near future, but you guys make that possible. And I think there's some people probably who just sat up in bed and who said, I need to take notes and find out how, in fact, I can be a part of this. How do you get the process moving?
Sure. Most people, as you're right, most people think I'm not ready to be a homeowner, even though that's my dream. I would love to be a homeowner. And so the biggest hurdle is oftentimes just education. So this is a wonderful opportunity to tell people that this is an opportunity for just about every Milwaukee County family, provided that you have a source of income to be able to pay back the principal payment on a 20 to 30-year mortgage. You can pay for the insurance and taxes. Generally, our homeowners will spend between $500 and $600 per month for a brand new home. And I'm guessing that most of the listeners right now who are renting are paying far more than $500 to $600 a month on their rental. And now they become a homeowner. So the first step is to contact Milwaukee Habitat and come to a weekly orientation session. Lasts about 30 to 40 minutes. They'll find out about all of the details of the program, what's involved, and then they'll get an application that they can take with them and complete. Usually the process from a completed application and acceptance into the program and moving into a new home is about 8 months. So during that time, people do their sweat equity, they participate in the building of their home, they do their financial education classes. And even if someone has credit issues, or maybe they've had a bankruptcy in their past, we want them to be in a good place financially with this decision, but we will help them to prepare them for successful home ownership for the long haul.
All right, and that's what people want to hear. So qualified families need to show a need for housing, be willing to partner with Habitat. So that means it's not an option on whether you put in that sweat equity. You have to be a part of that. And you have to be able to pay the Habitat mortgage, which you just stated it won't be more than 30% of what they're bringing home. So you offer start that over. You offer 0% interest loans, and I don't guess I'm used to saying that number
Not a lot of
very
people
often.
are. No.
So 0% interest loans with no down payment required, and that is where that sweat equity comes into play because it's kind of like give a little to get a little, right?
It is. It's an investment of time and energy and commitment to the building of their home and their neighbors' homes. It's also preparing them for the long haul. We're not just about handing keys over to a new homeowner, but we want them to be successful 10 years from now and 20 years from now. And one of the things that we're so proud of is that over 80% of the homes that we've built over the last 30 years, those homeowners are still in those Habitat homes. That means they're long-term successful homeowners that are the anchors on their blocks and in their neighborhoods.
Yeah, and you got to imagine there's that much more pride when you used your two hands to help build that home. So
Absolutely. We've heard more than one homeowner tell us that, you know, sometimes maybe a job offer came along that, or a situation where they might have moved, but they said, you know what? I want to stay in this house. I helped build this house,
Right.
and no one's going to take me out of this house.
So you do have several different programs, and the home ownership program is something that we've discussed. So is there anything else you want to add about that program in particular?
Well, in addition to the home ownership, we also do home preservation.
Okay.
And that piece is a relatively new aspect of what Habitat does. Most people talk, when they look at Habitat, they see the building going up and the framing, and that's their experience with Milwaukee Habitat and Habitat in general. But we've also added to that home preservation projects to work with existing owner-occupants who are in need of critical repairs.
Okay.
And a lot of these folks are elderly. A lot of these people are disabled. People who are low to moderate income, they want to stay in their house long term, but they're having difficulty doing these critical repairs like roofs and porch repairs and getting their home up to code compliance in terms of their electricity and other things.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And like you said, it's hard. The maintenance of a home can sometimes be overwhelming for individuals in that scenario. So that's a great program. And then your neighborhood revitalization initiative, which was launched last year, is focusing primarily on Washington Park. Talk about that.
Yeah, well, we made a strategic decision about a year and a half ago to focus on one particular neighborhood in Milwaukee. Now, there's tremendous need in a number of different central city neighborhoods, and we read the papers, we're well aware of that. But we decided that with the resources that we have, that we would collaborate with other nonprofits, with government officials, with the residents of a neighborhood themselves, most importantly, to address the housing needs of one neighborhood and do that block by block. And so in addition to building on vacant lots, new construction homes, we're taking a number of former city-owned taxed foreclosed properties and doing gut rehabs on those properties, putting new homeowners in those homes that sometimes were drug houses or just sources of crime, and then working on home preservation projects for existing homes. And so when you pair together new construction, rehabs, and critical repairs on a single block, it's amazing the transformation that can happen.
That's true, and I think a lot of neighborhoods all over the city and the suburbs have seen, when we went through the whole housing crisis, there were more than 2 and 3 houses that were empty where people just kind of packed up and left. And I think that is when a lot of people realize that when houses are not occupied, it's not only an eyesore, but a lot of negative things can come along with that, and this is all positive, especially for the neighborhood of Washington Park, where 60% of the residents has been found by research, they rent their homes.
They do.
Yeah.
They do. And our hope over time, and we've made a 5-year commitment to this neighborhood, where historically we've already built 125 homes in years past, is that in 5 years, our goal with other housing developers, including for-profit developers who are starting to come into the neighborhood, seeing that there's an opportunity here because of the work that's going on, not only by Milwaukee Habitat, by other organizations and the revitalization that's happening, that this is a good investment in this neighborhood. And our goal over time is to see that percentage of home ownership rise to about 60%. And we feel like that's a tipping point for a neighborhood. When the majority of people in a neighborhood own their own homes, they take greater pride in their neighbors, their homes, and on their blocks, and that leads to reduced crime. It leads to greater opportunity and just a better place to call home.
Absolutely. Now, what is your website address where people can get all the details on everything that we've talked about up to this point?
Well, if you go to MilwaukeeHabitat.org, you'll find a great website that lists out lots of opportunities, all the way from home ownership and what's it like to become a homeowner, to work as a volunteer, and to contribute to the work that we have going on in Milwaukee.
Yeah, and we'll talk a little bit about volunteering in just a little bit, but first I wanted to bring out the fact that you believe that a revitalized neighborhood requires more than just housing. Education, job access, transportation, healthcare, the list goes on. All these things play a role. You have partners who help in all these areas with Habitat, with affordable housing, right?
Exactly. As I like to explain it, all of us have an idea of what a great neighborhood looks like.
Yeah.
And what I've found is that no matter whether you live in the Lake Country or whether you live in the central city of Milwaukee, whether you live on the north or south side of Milwaukee, everyone has a sense of what a great neighborhood's comprised of. And you listed off a number of those aspects, and it's just as true in the Washington Park neighborhood in Milwaukee. And so our goal and our sweet spot as an organization is really to focus on housing, but we partner with a number of other nonprofits, and as I said, most importantly with resident leaders in the neighborhood who have joined committees and formed a plan for the neighborhood. Washington Park residents have their own plan and their own vision of what they want to see happen in the neighborhood. So Milwaukee Habitat doesn't come in and say, this is what a great neighborhood looks like. They already know. Right. So our role is to come alongside hardworking, strong leaders in the neighborhood itself and say, how can we help? How can we support what you want to see happen from a housing perspective? And then the Milwaukee Police Department and our next generation as far as an educational leader in the neighborhood. Victory Gardens Initiative, or the Urban Ecology Center, from a vantage point of the park itself and education for youth, comes along and says, this is how we can fill a need in the neighborhood. And when those partners come together, there's a tremendous synergy and a wonderful collaboration.
I think that's all great stuff. And part of your mission statement says that Habitat for Humanity seeks to put God's love into action, and it's built on the principles of a Christian ministry. With that said, Milwaukee Habitat tithes 10% of its unrestricted funds to support the organization's global mission to eliminate poverty, housing, and homelessness. So this is an international effort.
It truly is. Habitat works in about 80 different countries around the world. Milwaukee Habitat has been one of the most consistent and highest tithing organizations within Habitat for Humanity International. So over the past 30 years, we've given over $2 million globally to help actually serve more people in other countries than we have here in Milwaukee, because the cost of housing is so much less in other countries. So right now we serve families in El Salvador and Kyrgyzstan, and we send teams from Milwaukee to help build those homes, but we support financially the building and repairing of homes in those countries. It's one of the reasons why I'm a part of this organization, is because I know that not only are we serving our neighbors here, but we're also serving people all around the world.
Yes, indeed. And one thing about it, you have this Pope Francis house, and Milwaukee is just one out of 3 affiliates nationwide that has been chosen for this. Quickly tell us about that.
Well, it's really an amazing thing. An anonymous donor from, of all places, North Carolina, selected Milwaukee for reasons I don't know, other than I believe God was a part of it. And the whole intention of this is to name in honor of the work that Pope Francis is doing around the world, especially around the dignity of work and in the work around working within the Christian community, to sponsor a home here in Milwaukee. And this house in particular, the only thing that this donor has asked is that we would reach out to Catholic parishes and schools to really invigorate the Catholic community in the building of this house. And what we've found is that there is a tremendous energy and a tremendous excitement in the Catholic community, from the Archbishop to the Archdiocese and Catholic parishes throughout this area. We have filled up volunteer spots almost from beginning to landscaping of this house. And our goal is that next year we might do a Pope Francis house done, funded entirely by parishes from Milwaukee, and the volunteers being from the Milwaukee area as well. So it's a wonderful and exciting development, and the Archbishop is going to come out and bless the house as it goes up on its first day.
Oh, and I'm sure we're going to hear more about that. Before we run out of time, I do want you to tell people at home how, in fact, they can volunteer their services to make a difference with Habitat.
Absolutely. They can go to our website, and they can find out information right on the website, and they can get connected and find out about all the different volunteer time slots and opportunities. They can also call our office, 414-562-6100, and just ask for the Volunteer Service Department, and they can get connected in that way. And we would love for every person who's never been out on a Habitat site before, and they have it on their bucket list. And I talk to people every day who say, I've always wanted to do it. Make this year the time that they do that.
Yes, and speaking of this year, this is your 30th anniversary, and you've got some pretty special things in the works to celebrate all the great work that you have done through the Milwaukee Habitat for Humanity. We've got just a little bit of time. Tell us the details.
Well, we're turning 30, and in October, on October 26th, we have our gala auction that's going to be going on at Discovery World, and it's our one major event. But this particular year, because we're turning 30, we're making it an extra special occasion. And you can go to our website and you can find out how you can attend that auction. It's going to be a great event, and people don't want to miss it. It's done well. You'll have a wonderful experience, and you'll contribute to a great cause. Okay,
and just so that everyone at home knows, there's a 2014 Harley-Davidson Sportster 48 that's going to be in the mix, right?
Exactly. We're going to raffle it off. Our great partners at Harley-Davidson have made this motorcycle available for one lucky person.
That is pretty awesome.
Absolutely.
Thank you for stopping by.
You're welcome.
It's always good to talk to you. Brian Sonderman is the Executive Director for Milwaukee Habitat for Humanity. For more information on anything that we've talked about today, log on to MilwaukeeHabitat.org or call their hotline, 414-255-3565. When we return to Our Issues Milwaukee, we'll find out more about the Milwaukee Habitat for Humanity Restore. So stay there. We'll be right back.